Can you guys see my video? There we go. Okay. Hello, everybody. It is Sunday, May 12th, 8 o'clock here in Israel, 6 p.m. UK, and 1 p.m. in Eastern Standard Time. And we are going to be spending the month of May melting. So to catch you up, because the best way to know all the stuff is to be on the call live, because we have the talk before the call, the talk after the call when the cameras stop rolling. There is so many little hidden gems that happen when you're here live. So one of the things we were just discussing was the tiniest change of perspective to simplify things is one of the keys of getting started and understanding melting mode. And Deborah, do you mind just sharing what was that tiny tweet about Shabbat and treats that gave you your first, or one of your first ever weight loss shots?
Yeah, I will tell you that now the music is very loud.
Okay, keep talking.
No, I had spoken to Lily before Shabbat, and I was saying that I sort of have this internal struggle of feeling like I want to have treats on Shabbat, and why can't I have treats? And I should be able to have treats. And in my conversation with Lily, we had kind of gone through some of my tracker and realized that there are certain treats that I can have and still have weight loss. And it's more about changing my frame of mind and saying, I can have treats. It just, you have to pick the treats that still work for you. And so I really tried to do that. And yeah, I think this was my second only weight loss Shabbat.
So if you don't mind us celebrating that for a sec, I want to dig one more second to what you're saying, because this is the beginning of accepting melting mode, and ownership and responsibility for melting mode is basically how are you going to keep reminding yourself how worth it was to have the treat and get on the next scale to this morning and see the weight loss? How are you going to hold on to that feeling? So you're going to keep looking for the ways to make it worth it. Like, I don't have to give up anything, but I have to own my body, my life, my tracker's unique from everybody else's.
Well, I do keep going back to my tracker, so I have that in there. I have my notes from our call, which is, kind of also keeps it there. Beyond that, and then next time I'm in a funk, I'm just going to pick up the phone and call you.
That's what we're here for, right? That's what we're here for, because that's the blessing of the community. That's the blessing of the community. And I'll tell you guys, I had amazing weight loss last week, melting mode, and then I got a little thrown off, and I was not in melting mode. I was in stability, making the best choice in the moment mode, and that is not melting mode. And so of course I was up today, but again, if you made good choices, like I made great choices, so I don't feel heavier in my body. My clothes aren't any tighter. The scale may be 3 pounds up today, but that's water retention. It's not real. And so when you track and you know what's working for you, you can just let go of this, but it's up, and I didn't have, and I didn't have, and I didn't have. Instead, you're like, no, I made great choices, but I was constantly being reactive to the situation. Even though I pre-tracked, I didn't pre-commit. If that makes sense. Sometimes we're like, I'll go through the motions of tracking, but I didn't commit. And being honest with yourself and saying, yeah, I kind of allowed myself to go with the flow and feel the moment of what I wanted in terms of food, kept me from allowing myself, like Alana likes to say, allow myself to care what the scale is going to say on Sunday. And again, it's not a big deal. It helped me actually get my head more in the game today, where I had a treat, but then stopped myself and said, you know what? I really do want to be in melting mode. Time to get back there. What do I need to do to be back there? And I want to just summarize from last week's call what melting mode is. Melting mode is when you've put the effort in weight loss mode, to track with extreme diligence how your energy is, what you're eating, the portions that you're eating. Remember, there's no perfect portion, but there are your portions that work for you, that keep you full and satisfied, that make you happy, and that work on the scale. And you need those through that trifecta: make you happy, keep you full and satisfied, work on the scale. And we have a ton of foods that work in that trifecta, but not all foods. And when you commit to those foods and say, I can have this other treat that doesn't work for my weight loss, but makes me full and satisfied and makes me happy for the rest of my life in maintenance mode. But in melting mode, I can have these 4 treats. These 4 treats work for my weight loss. And to get out of this diet mentality of I'm going to be in weight loss mode forever, even if you have 50 plus pounds to lose, to just always think I'm going to be in weight loss mode forever. I'm going to be in weight loss mode forever. So God forbid I give up anything or I break up with any food because this process is going to be so long and so drawn out. That would be depriving. Does that make sense to anybody? Does anybody know like what I'm talking about, where we make in our head like, gosh, I can't give up. I know, for example, I'm making something up that's not relevant to me, but like wine. I know wine bloats me and is horrible for my weight loss. Whenever I drink wine, I eat junk food. So you can say, I can have wine for the rest of my life in moderation, but every time I have wine, bad things happen. So I can choose not to have wine for a period of time so I can have wine for the rest of my life in my weight that makes me happy. Versus not eating, not even looking at all the other treats that you can have that work for your weight loss. You're only focused on the things that don't. And that is, I'd say, stage 1 of melting mode, which we talked about last week. Looking at your trackers and saying, when we were going through our, your trackers, if it's okay, Deborah, can I mention this on a Friday? What was I kept saying? I'm like, skip that. Don't even worry about that. Skip that. Only look at what helped made you lose weight. Such a good question. How do you deal with the sense of deprivation that comes from making that honest conclusion? I think that it's only a sense of deprivation when you're focused on the one thing that's not working for you, instead of really making a list of all the things that you've seen that do work for you. And say, I'm so lucky I can have 3 squares of chocolate like 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and still lose weight. I can have, somebody said, if it's okay, I said they can have sorbet or ice cream and lose weight, just not yeast cake. Okay, you can feel deprived that you can't have yeast cake, or you can be grateful. And Alana says over and over again, you can't be grateful and frustrated at the same time. Physically, just can't be. So I think not to feel deprived.
Can I say something on that? Can I
Sure.
say something on that point?
Sure.
So I think it's funny because you also just said ice cream. Sometimes also, even besides the ice cream yeast cake example, like I can have ice cream, I can't have yeast cake. You also might figure out that I can have ice cream once or twice a week, but not every day. Like sometimes we feel like we get into our head, okay, I should be able to have a treat. But in what world are we living that we think we can treat every day to that extent? Like, to me, it's the same thing as that when we tell ourselves, there was so many things that we've talked over these months and year, that whole, the idea of deserving. I was so good. I deserve the weight loss, as opposed to actually really just being honest and looking at what you did. And I very much feel that way on Shabbos. Very often we finish a Shabbos and you're like, I ate so well. Anybody else who would have eaten like this, they'd lose weight. If they ate the way I ate, they would have lost weight this Shabbos. How come it wasn't a weight loss Shabbos for me? And that's a whole thing. Like, either thinking that something that you gave up or didn't eat means that you should lose weight just because you didn't eat a whole cake. You don't get points. You don't get to lose weight just because you didn't eat the whole pint, So
So same thing, you just really have to be honest with yourself when it comes to Shabbos. I know I ate very, very well this Shabbos. Really, very, very well. And again, one of those moments of, if this would have been the beginning of my journey, or if this maybe would have been somebody else who had not been eating healthy so consistently, maybe that then would have been a weight loss. It was not a weight loss Shabbos for me. And to be honest, I know, and I spoke about this with Lily, all week long, I'm really very good about my portions. Mostly also because a lot of the times, like, I pack up my lunch with me to work. So my lunch is my lunch, whatever I packed up. There is no, should I more sure? There's no more to be sure about. I took what I took. That's what I have, and I'm full and satisfied. Yet on Shabbos, when you're around the table and we keep on, quote unquote, blaming our religious Jewish lifestyle of nobody else understands what it is that we have to sit around the table for so long. And yes, it's true. I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm up against the exact same obstacle. But then just be aware, if you don't lose weight, that you actually consumed a much larger volume of food than you usually do. So then give it time. Then at least just be patient. So the scale might be up on Sunday because of the salt, the volume, the something, even though it was all made up of quote unquote good foods, then give yourself until Monday. Don't get angry at yourself. Don't get frustrated at the scale. Don't hate our religion because we have Shabbos every week. Because we all know you can have a weight loss Shabbos, and we've all done it at some point. So it doesn't mean that it can't be done. Those are my 2 cents.
Right. Great. And now I want to move into the next section of melting mode that I wanted to cover this week. Last week we talked about kind of just basically defining it. And this week I want to kind of give you my experience with the honesty part of it. And that is also going into kind of what you were leading into, Ayel, which is your portions. And I know that my portions can vary greatly. A half a cup of lentils in a huge salad can keep me full. I can eat the identical volume of veggies and add a half a cup of quinoa to it and a half a cup of lentils, or lentils and salmon when I was eating animal products, and I feel the same full. I feel the same full. Now, the protein is there to how long you're going to stay full, right? And the smaller you get, the less protein you need per a meal to stay full till the next meal. And what I struggle with in terms of that, why I struggle to stay in, why I have struggled previously, and now that I get it, I hopefully will not struggle in the future now that I get it, in melting mode, is that I adjust my portion size based on a need for satisfaction. Instead of knowing this amount of food makes me feel full and satisfied. And if today, for example, I am more tired and therefore I don't feel full and satisfied, one of the best mentorship videos is labeling your hunger. Today, I'm tired hunger. I'm tired hungry. I'm not hungry. I'm tired hungry. You know, if you take a medication that makes you very hungry, you're not hungry, you're, pick the name of the medication. You're on medication. You're not hungry. And kid hunger, right? Like, ooh, it's I'm home with my kids hungry. It's I'm in an office and my boss is in a mood hungry. Like, give it a name and still know that like it's showing up as hunger, but it's not related to food. What needs to satisfy it is not gonna be found at the end of your plate. Is everybody with me where we are right now? Yeah? We know what I'm talking about. We've been here, so I'm not alone here. Okay. So I realized going through my trackers that a certain amount of food at lunch, because lunch, like, you know, some people struggle with dinner and done. I struggle with lunch and done. Lunch is like my time of day that I eat and I sit and I get to eat in between work and when my kids get home. And when I don't feel like I can fully unplug and unwind, or I have excess tension in my body during that time, I struggle to stop eating. I don't feel satisfied until I am way over full, and that's when I want a treat, and that's why I had a treat today. I get over full, and then I want a treat to just top it off, where I feel like I sealed the deal. And now I can move on with my day. So when I went back and I see the days that I have the best weight loss and I'm equally full and satisfied are days that either I don't have time to sit and eat during that during that window. I'm busier. Like I can just sit, like I said, and I've pre-packed my salad. Like I made 2 salads the day before, and so that's what I'm eating. I don't even think about making seconds versus what I've just made it fresh, and it's something like a stir fry where there is more. And that realization that that's what's keeping me from melting mode is constantly being adjustable. Instead of saying, this fits me, this is weight loss for me. When I have tired hunger, stress hunger, annoying boss hunger, client that or prospect I'm talking to, and I know I can help them and I can feel that I'm not connecting with them and I get frustrated with myself, all that frustration, that's all hunger. So asking myself, what kind of hungry am I? And stopping to eat, closing the fridge, packing up specifically lunch ahead of time, because dinner and done, I'm good. Breakfast, I have my consistent breakfast. It's that lunch period. I don't have to eat the same thing, but I need to have the same proportion of food, what I know keeps me full and satisfied, and then deal with my, right? We all got stuff. And we have to deal with that poop. And when we don't, we eat it. We eat. So to me, melting mode, when she talks about melting mode, she's talking about, people tend to eat the same things. And so she'll talk about somebody who like just found these 3 dinners that work and they're eating the same 3-4 dinners over and over again. And she talked about for herself, she's like, I don't menu plan and prep 21-day fix style all my food out in advance, but I know 2 chicken thighs. I know that's it. Like I don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. And I was talking to Devora, and as somebody who's a little bit of intellectual, somebody who's a little bit of a nerd, I love to make things too complicated and too difficult for no reason. And melting mode is stopping to do that and committing to asking myself, am I complicating things so I don't have to deal with the emotional side of them and I can stay in the intellectual side? I can stay in hacking it and figuring it out and analyzing it and getting into the data instead of doing the data and now implementing and asking the hard questions of myself, which are, what hungry am I feeling and what can I do? Everybody with me? Okay. I'm opening this up a little bit. Yeah, exactly. I agree. Someone said definitely a challenge when you work at home and food is available through the day. I know it is. I find definitely prepping just 2 days at a time, like making my lunch and then making a double and putting half away for the next day in a container where I know that's my lunch for tomorrow. I find that very, very helpful in terms of that challenge. And also that it makes me feel more prepared and less stressed than the next day. So it's like double win. But I want to open it up now, and I want to take questions, challenges, comments, take out your trackers and go through. And like what I did to Deborah, I was really obnoxious a little bit. And I'm like, no, don't talk to me about that. Don't talk to me about that. What was the weight loss meal that day? What was the weight loss meal? Until she had a list of like, oh, every time I lose weight, I'm eating one of these 2 breakfasts. Yes, it might be cottage or yogurt, but the breakfast looks like this. Every time I'm losing at lunch, it looks like basically this. Every time I'm losing, and dinners are pretty much, as long as I'm 75% veg, it doesn't matter. So
it's actually super helpful.
But it was a little, but like, because we get distracted when we're going back through all the trackers. And we're like, ooh, but this day I had a treat. But I'm like, but like these 2 treats, that's consistent. You have those and you're good. So like, stop looking at the other stuff. And it's hard. You have to edit. You have to edit the amount of information you're taking in. But while you're tracking, put in a lot of information. Does that make sense? When you're looking back over, you want to look quickly and see the pattern, not like get obsessive. But while you're tracking, self-awareness means being aware and doing it. So if you want to talk, let me know. Otherwise, put some more questions here in in the chat box. Jody, I know you had some trackers and somebody else had some trackers they wanted to go over and things that they wanted to talk about. So now is a great time to do that as well. I'm happy to share some things I've learned from my tracker if that helps people. Let's open it up. Everybody off mute. No. Okay. Jody, any thoughts? Nati, Deborah?
Yeah, I don't have, I had to run to do a pick. I was in the middle of a workout and I had to run to do a pickup and I wanted to be in the call. So I'm in the car waiting for the pickup without my trackers. But what I can say is that, I mean, what you just said is very helpful. I feel like I've been, playing in the same zone for quite a long time, months wise. And I consulted with my doctor today. And it's a little challenging when like your doctor's saying one thing, but you're not sure if that's like helpful to you. Like he's saying your body you may be at your body's low. And the reason why you're not losing the reason why you're going up and down is because your body actually needs more fat, because otherwise it goes into starvation mode because of your genetics, and look at what you look like versus what you're. So all of this information that we sort of say not to listen to, like don't blame your genetics, all of that. I feel like this is someone that I really admire, and I'm trying to understand when I say, okay, stop fighting it, stop fighting and have a little compassion for your body. I'm in a very challenging place of balancing, complacency with acceptance and being okay. Because I know that I'm in a good place in my body wise. So I'm having a little bit of that challenge. And the biggest challenge for me right now is that my IBS has been really acting up lately. And then that sort of just sucks because it's very unpredictable. So I'm trying to find my patterns through my trackers of what triggers the IBS. I'm not finding any patterns. So that's why I wanted to look at my tracker, but
it could be food related, it could be not food related, it could be medication related, it could be stress related.
It could be seasonal, it could be the seasons, the ability to eat different foods and eating more raw food in the summer I don't see any of it as being a pattern, but that's why I wanted to have my tracker to sort of look at, but
we can do that. You can set up a time and we can absolutely do that. But I do want to address the thing you said about the doctor, because both things are not
mutually exclusive.
Right, mutually exclusive. You, despite any genetics, despite anything else, are in a healthy body weight zone. Now,
right,
you have every right to care about aesthetics. But right now, you're in an aesthetic zone. And I think for a lot of us, that is very scary and demeaning, almost like, oh, but wait, but then that means I'm in the selfish zone now? Like before it was for my health, but now I'm in the selfish zone?
Right.
Yeah, it's okay. You have a right to look however you want to look. And as long as you're full and satisfied and you have great energy and you're showing up great in your workouts, you're treating your body really well. So that's something you don't have to worry about and take off the table. You are treating yourself compassionately. You have really great energy. You're full and satisfied. You're eating foods you enjoy, and you have tons of energy.
Yeah, no, but I'm not full and satisfied because the pain comes in before I'm full.
So then again, that's a medical issue.
That's what I'm. Yeah.
And less a to-be mindset doctor conflict issue, and that's where you want to figure out. Just separate that. Say it's not a conflict. It's just an IBS issue. I need to work with my gastro. I need to work on it. You deal with it just from that technical way, and separate that emotional dichotomy from it, because it's only going to exacerbate the stomach acid.
Right. It's a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle. I mean, I have to have these candies a few times a day because I get very bad taste in my mouth. But then I think, is that a problem with? But this is, like it's all these like bad. I feel like I said to I think to Aliza today. I said, I feel like I'm trying to solve a puzzle, and the pieces keep changing. Does anyone feel like that? Like the pieces keep changing, and you're trying to roll with it. And accept that that's part of life, that we're constantly trying to understand And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that
So
that's a
yes
reality.
and no. Melting mode is stopping to try to understand and just accept and go with what works.
Right, but you have to find what works first. So you have to find a pattern of what works.
Yeah, right. And so again, like, and the pattern, she says, it's not going to last forever. It could last 10 pounds, it could last 20 pounds, it could last 30 pounds. It depends on where you are in your journey.
Right.
But
Right.
you have to enjoy and sit back and ride the wave of melting mode instead of constantly staying in the investigation stage. And,
Right.
and then wondering why you're losing weight 3 or 5 pounds a month. That's amazing, but that's investigation stage. And 5 to
Right.
7 is, she's saying, at no matter what weight you are, that's melting mode, because now you're just implementing. You're like on autopilot, writing same chicken instead of fish in that tracker, because you're eating the same amount of
Right.
the same kinds of foods for a short period of time. Talk about a few months. Like if you look at the people, even in our group, who've lost 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds in 6 months, they're doing it by being super consistent. And I thought I was being consistent, but I like the investigation stage. It's one of the reasons I went for holistic health nutrition degrees, because I love to dig into the nitty gritty and, ooh, what could be seasonal, what could, like, I love it. It's like, you know, playing Sherlock Holmes. But when it comes to weight loss, that's counterproductive.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Does that make sense to anybody? Like, oh, it's great that I now have 8 months of trackered information on completely different kinds of eating. But like, okay, that's great. But if I'm not going to be consistent with that, what I know, and I'm constantly asking myself, but what if I don't need this? Or what if I do need a little bit more? Like, I was in a great zone. And then I just asked myself, I said, oh, could I be maybe eating too little carb at that meal? Maybe I should add a fruit. Why? Why even ask the question? Am I full? Am I satisfied? Is the scale going in the right direction? Put it on autopilot. And when you hit a plateau, ask a question. But dig into, this works when I'm more hungry or I'm more tired. Now, there's some days maybe you did a harder workout, right? Like you might be more hungry. But that's why Alana says, when you really want to lose weight, you have to look at the workouts you're doing and you have to say, is this working for me? If this workout is spiking an insane, insatiable hunger, it's not a weight loss promoting workout. Okay? There's no amount of water that is going to change for you the fact that when you go to a 2-hour spin class for one person, it makes them insatiably hungry. Or when they lift really heavy weights, they are insatiably hungry for them, for their body. They can't deal with it. You know, that's their body's reaction. So like, that's great, not for melting mode. And that doesn't mean, again, if you're not going to be in melting mode forever and you're going to be in melting mode for 3-4 weeks at a time, really? Like you can't just go with what works? You can't accept and give yourself that gift? Esther, I see you kind of nodding, thinking about what I'm saying. What's resonating with you? Like, that's it? And what are you like, you're right, but I'm not quite there?
So I just wanted to say that I also had the last, like, since Thursday, also like a really bad IBS. I was very bloated, and Friday the scale was like crazy up. I thought, what is going on? And then I've just had like a stomach bug or the other end of IBS. And so this morning the scale was total weight loss Shabbat, but half of it's a stomach bug. I mean, half of it is also I was very careful what I ate. I think more careful. I liked what you were talking about, like treats that you can eat and treats that I know I just like cannot eat.
In weight loss.
Let's say I can have a date or two with a couple of walnuts and I'm totally fine with that. I can have 1 glass of wine I have 2 glasses, then I have a brownie or I have whatever. But like, I realize, Friday nights I can have a glass of wine or a date night, and that one glass or one drink does not affect my my weight. What I've been struggling with, because I was looking through my trackers today also, is that every time I hit a new low on the scale that day, I'm like, oh, look at that. I got to this number. I can like have a couple of Pepperidge Farm cookies that are this big, or I can have, and I can have extra carb at dinner because look at me. And every freaking single time I do that to myself, and I'm as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, what am I doing to myself? Like, why am I doing that to myself?
Brilliant. We all have patterns. And that's exactly the last thing, which we're going to focus on even more next week, next Sunday in the melting mode discussion, and that's your challenges. Now we all have like the same way we have patterns for our weight loss, we have patterns for our challenges. For some people, it's hitting a double digit, like a new 10, a new set of 10. Anytime they hit a new set of 10, it's like 8 months before they can get out of it, versus like the last 5 pounds or the last 2 pounds or the first 2 pounds of that set of 10.
I've been going no problem. Hovering around the same kilo, and then like 1 week dropping a kilo, and then hovering around the same kilo and a couple weeks and then dropping it. So I've lost 5 kilo.
That's great.
But
in your head it could have been 7.
I don't even think I would say if I would lose like 2 more kilo, I'd be back down to my weight that I feel like good and comfortable fitting into my clothes well.
Mm-hmm.
But I keep sabotaging myself every single time.
But let's not call it okay, I know it feels like sabotage when you look back at it, but let's say it's a common repeating challenge that when you melt mode it, like put it in melting mode instead of in, that maintenance mode, and say, every time you have a challenge, like I have around my period challenges, like because my weight fluctuates crazy and I can get like emotionally reacted to that and then have more or less or whatever. So what can you do to say, I'm going to do this behavior every time I hit a new low? What can you do to change the challenge and make it, this is now, when I'm in melting mode, I do this when I hit a new low.
Yeah. I have to really sit and think about it. And
go shopping.
She goes shopping.
Yeah. Buy new workout clothes.
And any workout clothes are fun, but it doesn't make it sink in as much in terms of a new number or a new size as much as clothing that I might want to wear like on Shabbos or something like that. Like buying something and really accepting the new low, the smaller size, the new number, the lower number, all those things. For me, it's shopping.
I'm such a bad shopper. I always
come with me. I'm such a good shopper.
She does. She taught me.
Really, I'll meet you in Modi'in. I bought a dress before Pesach. I think it's the first new thing in like 2 years. I kept saying, well, when I like get back to my previous size and I lose all my weight, then I'm gonna buy myself new clothes. And I just haven't bought anything in like 2 years.
So so then that's a great place for you to own the new weight by saying, oh, now I've bought something. Now I'm stuck here. I gotta go to the next one.
Right. I did give away my bigger clothes though.
That's very important.
I gave away everything. I'm like, that's it. I'm not
going back.
I still have one skirt, which I don't think I'll ever fit back into. And I don't think it'll be even like healthy for me to fit back into it. But I just can't give it away. I keep thinking one day it'll fit me. It's like shoved in the
So keep it. Listen, as long as you are a healthy weight for your height and body.
Right. Like I'm little. I'm 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
Like little petite, little bones, and going through menopause and, I'm going to be 50 this year. Yeah. Weight has just shifted around my body in places where I did not know it could even happen. Yeah. And the weight was just creeping up and up and up.
And you're turning it around. So maybe shopping would be great. Like maybe replace one thing in your closet with one smaller thing each time you hit a new kilo down.
Oh, that's nice. That's a good idea.
Like you have to get rid of the thing when you replace it with the new thing.
Okay. I'm good with giving stuff away.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
We have 5 minutes left. Nati, throw something out there.
So, I mean, I would say that I'm really, I don't want to use the word behind, but I'm like still definitely, you know, absorbing everything that we're talking about and hanging on to it for when I'm able to get there. But what I've been struggling with is like staying in a positive direction versus having, you know, something negative hit. And I know you can definitely talk to this. Something stressful hits or something that just really like throws you for a loop, or even just a day or a few days that you're just feeling off. I've had these like leg pains lately, almost like a stress or like a growing pains almost, but not, I guess, because I'm an adult. But
You can't warm it up with those.
you tell yourself like, nah, I don't have the strength to work out, or I don't feel like I can push myself. And the motivation is not there as much, and still trying to keep on track with nutrition, but really just trying to stay in a positive direction and not let it spiral out of control and get the better of me when you know that where you really want to be headed is you've been there before, just on track. So how to get back on track.
I'll say, like, I think you nailed it on the head. I find that I feel like I absorb a lot of negative energy. Is that like what you're saying? It's like a negative around you, and all of a sudden it's all internalized.
Totally.
And
like I'm the barometer for that.
And that's why I get so much out of the group that I never thought I would, because it's like I can keep the levels more normal because I'm filling up with positive energy all the time. And that's why personal development is huge. Reading the podcast. But from a nutrition perspective, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm really going to be honest. Shakeology and Energize. Esther was the biggest skeptic of Shakeology, I think, ever in the universe. Ever. Yeah, she was. And it's true, right? Like when you finally commit.
I'm going to jump in. I thought it was all like voodoo, heebie-jeebie. Oh, yeah, they just put all these weird Japanese herb stuff in it and call it superfoods. But the Energize, first of all, is the only thing getting me through this lift formation. Because I used to do Transform 20 and think I was going to die. And now I'm lifting weights and then doing it and not dying. So there's that. The Energize is great. But the Shakeology, I really feel the difference on the days that I have it and the days that I don't. It helps my digestion. Maybe I was a little nervous with the last few days when my stomach was really...
It helps to balance it out.
Feeling bad. I wasn't sure how I would react. But I find it makes a huge difference. I have it like in the afternoons, especially now that it's getting hot.
Yeah.
At like 3, instead of having coffee and then wanting cookies to go with it, I have the shake or I have it like with a late lunch as my protein, and it just keeps me full for hours. And it tastes like a latte or like chocolate milk. It's great.
So it's something to think about, because from a nutritional perspective, when I'm feeling down or I'm feeling negative, I used to like also be scared to I'd be like, oh, maybe better not to eat now. And like, you can ask Ayala how many times I would eat something else. An hour later, I regretted, like, I should have had a second shake today. It was just that negative a day. I needed extra positivity. And now I getting into, we're in the last minute. And I get it, it's not a sales pitch. I would be lying if I didn't tell you what I really do that works.
Can I say one thing when we have a minute left?
Yes, please finish it off.
To me, in the negative space and the things around and life, and I've had a